we are going to officially head into I was today years old. And it is accurate because I was legit today years old when I found out each one of these things. So not only are they short, they're also weird and fascinating. Some of these were courtesy of BuzzFeed and other outlets on Google. Okay. Did you know I was today years old when I found out that stars eat planets? Apparently when they come into I don't know, just the moral of that is stars can eat planets. Like, poof, they're gone. What? Did not know that. I also was today years old when I found out that turtles masturbate. Good for you. Definitely going to use that on Jeopardy. Just kidding. I was also today years old when I found out that Saturn apparently rains diamonds. Yeah. Saturn apparently rains diamonds. How that has not been monetized in some way in our society is so fascinating. It's crazy. Okay, and the last thing that I learned today, I was today years old when I found out that there used to be a Miss American vampire pageant. How did I not know about this? How have I not entered because I did not know about this? And how have I not won? They showed pictures of a Miss American vampire from the event took place in New Jersey in 1970. And she looks absolutely amazing. Like, amazing. So wicked. I loved it. I was like, they need to bring this back. Yeah. Shelly, let's talk about that. I'm always giving shout outs to Shelly Martinez now that she's, officially on the brand. Now we're like, Shelly, my girl. Okay, another thing that I recently found out, I was today years old when I found out that eggplants contain nicotine. Yes, the same chemical agent that is in cigarettes. However, you would need to eat 20 eggplants in one sitting to get the equivalent of the nicotine in one cigarette. So you're good. You're good. I also found out, I was today years old when I found out that monkeys use blades of grass and bird feathers to floss their teeth when they feel the need, you know. I was also today years old when I found out that sharks predate trees. The earliest known sharks were at least 400 million years ago, and the earliest known trees were 350 million years ago. So sharks are older than trees. I did not know that, and I am obsessed with sharks. All right, everybody, here are some weird, crazy, gruesome, scary facts that you may wish you didn't know. Here we go. Apparently, in Russia, there is this thing that a lot of people are aware of where they feel there is a haunted Russian radio station. It is radio station UVB-76. Apparently, this radio frequency has been on since 1982. The earliest records of it are 1982. And it's mostly static with a Russian voice coming through. And this has been happening since 1982, and they have no idea where exactly it's coming from. They have not been able to trace it. This reminded me of that horror movie that I liked, Sinister. You know, they had that coming through. I think it was from the a frequency recording from like the Netherlands or something. And yeah. Okay, so this one is especially near and dear to my heart based on how I grew up in a legit haunted house where even my grandmother passed away in the house, guys. According to studies, over 20% of children report hearing voices. So is it an imaginary friend? Or is it the ghost in the cellar? Stay tuned for Growing Up Haunted because I can tell you a lot about children hearing voices and sleepwalking. Speaking of that, this next topic I also somewhat saw in a horror movie, but I don't remember the name, but it took place in a nursing home and people were like eating the souls to stay young and passing it down. It was like this like cult thing. It was actually a very interesting movie. All right. There was a pet cat once named Oscar who lived in a nursing home, and it was believed that he could sense death. And what he would do is, whenever he would sense death, he would go and spend the night and sleep beside that person in the nursing home until they passed away. I saw this in a horror movie. I'm like, man, horror movies are really getting their shizzit together. Apparently, over 1/3 of all murders in the US go unsolved. Now, this I can actually see because when I was a kid, I think I was in 6th grade, when there was a murder across the street and several houses down from my childhood home. And it took them all the way until the pandemic. I think in 2020 or 2021, they finally solved that. That was crazy. I think I even saw Mama Hendrix walk by the news, trying to figure out what was going on. This woman, had put her son on the school bus, and the next thing that people know, they found her at like the bottom of the staircase in her own blood. And for years, this went unsolved until legit the pandemic, when they got a thumbprint or some sort of fingerprint off of a conch shell that was in the house. And it was like inside, and they figured out, like somebody decided to figure out how to do that. Like nobody had thought to do anything with it before. It was crazy. So I can definitely see how 1/3 of all murders in the United States go unsolved. Definitely. Like I can see that. Okay. This brings new light into the movie, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Here we go. Apparently crows can recognize and identify specific faces. So they can remember you. So do not wrong a crow, because they will recognize you. They will remember you. They will zip it, lock it, and keep it in this pocket. If you know what I'm saying. That's crazy. They can actually legit have facial recognition and they remember you. So do not wrong a crow, all right? That was crazy. Apparently, there was a legend surrounding the movie The Poltergeist, and they said that the production and cast and crew were cursed. And the reason why they felt this way was, number one, I mean, they used real skeletons. In that scene where she's like falling in the mud into that pit with all the rainwater and the mud and the skeletons floating up around her, I think it was supposed to be like an Indian burial ground. Well, they didn't tell that actress at the time because they didn't want to freak her out, but those were actually real skeletons. And this isn't the first time this has happened. We talked about on this podcast, I think 2 weeks ago, how Disney actually, and for the original Pirates of the Caribbean ride, it was cheaper and easier to use real skeletons than it was to fabricate fake ones. So this is not the first time that Hollywood and, pop culture have done this, skeletons in plain sight, basically. Well, apparently 4 cast members died after film, like not long after filming Poltergeist. And the youngest one was 12. She had a bowel obstruction, but these were all like sequential and happened like boom, 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 like one, like so soon after. So people definitely think that production was cursed. Not to mention the fact that they had to do an exorcism, on the set of The Exorcist, because so many things were going wrong and happening. Did you guys know that apparently there's a thing called homicidal sleepwalking? This is like legit a real thing. It's called homicidal. I'm going to try to say the second part correctly. Somnambulism. Okay. SOMNAMBULISM. And apparently in 2005, a man named Jules Lowe was acquitted of murdering his father when they proved that he was actually sleepwalking when he did it. I don't know. That's a little suspect. But then again, I've actually seen people sleepwalk and have no memory of what they've said or done. Which we can also talk about on Growing Up Haunted. Like, the first punch I ever threw was in an instance like that. So that'll be a fun story. Did you guys know that 14 years before the sinking of the Titanic, there was a book called The Wreck of the Titan? So 14 years before the 1912 sinking of the Titanic. This is so creepy. It's almost like George Orwell's 1984, but the time frame was so much, closer than what we thought. So apparently 14 years before the 1912 sinking of the Titanic, there was a novel called The Wreck of the Titan, and it was about an unsinkable ship that didn't have enough lifeboats that hit an iceberg and sank. Sound familiar? Like, how did this book come out talk about almost predicting, the tragedy of the Titanic. That's insane. And I mean, calling it the wreck of the Titanic, like, I don't know. That's strange, is it not? I had no idea. It's so creepy. Okay, apparently until the 20th century, so until the 1900s, people believed that ingesting dead body parts of deceased people would provide cures and ailments to various things. And what they would do is, for example, this is one of the examples, there's many more. They would powder up a deceased person's skull and ingest that to try and cure headaches. Just people out here ingesting dead people organs. Like, what? What? I can't even make this stuff up. Did you guys know that every 18 minutes somebody has a ruptured brain aneurysm? That's terrifying. Apparently in 2007, a woman died after drinking more than a gallon of water in 3 hours. And get this, the reason why she did it was to win a Nintendo Wii. What kind of contest was that? Like who decided, oh, I'm going to drown myself from the inside out to win a Nintendo Wii? Like, what? That's like people falling off of cliffs during that Pokemon Go or whatever. Like, I just don't understand it. But hey, I guess it's not for me to understand. Anyway, I digress. Okay, and the last one. The average person, this is so creepy. It's gonna make you like already everybody's looking over their shoulder and around themselves now everywhere they go. But this makes it even more intense in my opinion. So apparently the average person in their lifetime will have walked past 36, on average, 36 murderers. Like what? The average person in their lifetime will have walked past 36 murderers. And that kind of makes sense considering the serial killer facts we've talked about the last 2 weeks.